the challenges Rocky went through, and then of course the victory. But I can remember being little, 10 years old in the movie theater, watching it and just wanting to accomplish something so much higher than I knew I could.
Inspired by Rocky Balboa at a young age, Stacy Pittman Douglas has accomplished a lot. The Clark grad is helping us kick off Women's History Month in big board sports. But first, Keldon Johnson led the Spurs with 25 points to help San Antonio snap a 16-game losing streak, beating the Utah Jazz 102-94 last night. They wrapped up the 6,728-mile rodeo road trip 1-8. This game saw 17 lead changes, with the Spurs taking the final one with 3 minutes left in regulation, and they never let it go. Keldon was asked if they celebrated in the locker room after their first win in 6 weeks.
It's just one win. We lost too many to be celebrating. You know, we got to stay hungry as a group. We got to keep working, keep fighting, continue to get better, and that's what we're striving to do. You know, obviously it feels good to win, and you know, everybody smiled, but we know we got to continue to get better. We know we got to look at film and make some adjustments and keep it pushing.
Pacers and Spurs will play tomorrow night, 7:30 at the AT&T Center. In boys high school soccer, Prestonwood Christian Academy beat Central Catholic High School today to win the TAPS Division I state championship. This was a scoreless match until PKs, and that's when Prestonwood won the match 5-4. March is Women's History Month, so all month long we're going to highlight local women who have helped pave the way for today's female student athletes. First up is Stacy Pittman Douglas, pictured here on the right side of your screen, standing next to her daughter Esther, along with family members Lynette and Linda. Stacy was born and raised in San Antonio, and she graduated from Clark High School in 1993. And here she is wearing number 44 for the Clark basketball team. Now, we came up with this idea one day while KSAT12 Sports was doing a story on her daughter, and it's been a lot of fun. We asked Stacy what this month means to her sports-wise, and what sports did she play in high school?
It's a milestone. It's making history, and just where it's come from the start, talking to my grandmother about playing half-court basketball. The girls would only play half-court at her time. So it's definitely a huge milestone. I lettered in cross country, which was a great accomplishment my freshman year. Played basketball, volleyball, and track. And then it came to decision making. I was playing club volleyball. It was hard with the seasons conflicting and things like that, because club season is in the spring, same as track. So track was actually one of my favorite sports, but I made the decision to play volleyball.
Stacy played right side hitter and setter for Clark in 1993. She said she was a Rudy in volleyball since there weren't any liberos at that time. We asked her how high school volleyball is different now compared to when she was growing up.
There's a lot of opportunity. When I played club, there was 2 club organization volleyball in San Antonio. Now there's several. There's several training, there's different skill sets, there's different competition levels. So there's just a plethora of coaches now, where before it was, there might be 1 or 2 that are good that can coach you, and if you like them, if you don't, you don't have too many options, as many options.
Tonight on the Night Beat, Stacy will discuss how Esther got into volleyball and why Stacy encourages young girls growing up to play sports. That's tonight at 10 as part of our Women's History Month coverage.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, the full court women's basketball and half court, I mean, I grew up in Iowa where they played half court, you know, even through my high school years.
Yeah. So. It was pretty cool. I'm learning a lot through this. It's been very interesting and fun.
All right. Thanks, Larry.
We can play the full court.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, you can. All right. Some have called it a pattern of excessive force. 2 lawsuits filed in federal court accuse San Marcos police officers of improperly using their stun guns on innocent people.
One of the men who filed the suit is deaf and could not hear the officer's commands.
The police need to know how to approach a person who's deaf, to signal or gesture to a person who's deaf. Make sure that the person is notified that they can communicate.
This story of taser troubles coming up at 6:30.
Two civil rights lawsuits filed against one mid-sized law enforcement agency. Both cases against San Marcos police spotlight its officers' use of stun guns.
In one incident, they used them on a person who's deaf and couldn't hear their commands.
Shame on that police department for taking that type of action. It was wrong.
KSAT investigates. Dylan Collier sifts through what led to each altercation and examines a department that some say is badly mismanaged. But a warning, this footage may be disturbing to some viewers.
In this federal lawsuit amended in January to add more officers, Albion Leyva describes the brutal excessive force and false arrest he experienced at the hands of San Marcos police just over 2 years ago. A backseat passenger in a car suspected of fleeing from a convenience store theft, Leyva was compliant with raised hands, one holding his ID, the other his cell phone recording video, when a sergeant stepped forward and used his stun gun to electrocute him.
Come me now! Come me now!
KSAT investigates later revealed the sergeant who pulled that trigger, Ryan Hartman, had been back on duty just 6 weeks after a lengthy leave of absence for causing a crash in Lockhart that killed a woman. Despite speeding and having an open beer can in his truck, Hartman was never arrested or disciplined by Internal Affairs.
I think there's this culture of impunity in the San Marcos Police Department.
Rebecca Weber is an Austin-based civil rights attorney representing Leyva.
You realize that there's really a lot of time and opportunity for all the other dudes hanging around watching to say, hey man, like don't do that, or no, it's okay, you know, he's cooperating.
Of the 4 officers named in Leyva's suit, only one of them is still employed by the department. Hartman, suspended 1 week for using unnecessary force during the tasering incident, was fired last year for unrelated rules violations. Jacinto Melendrez, who also tasered Leyva, resigned a month after doing so, according to SMPD, to pursue other opportunities. And then there's Jordan Perkins, terminated less than 2 weeks after being named in the lawsuit. Officials said he had repeated rules violations. Discipline records show last March, Perkins was suspended for placing his gun against the neck and head of a suspect, and in a second incident, used his hand to strike a handcuffed suspect in the face, injuring him.
When you have people with this much disciplinary history and you're still putting them out on the street and you're not reviewing their arrest records and their use of force, you're just setting up a situation where someone's rights are going to be violated.
Weber represents another man who, like Leyva, was on the receiving end of San Marcos PD's stun guns. Big John Kelly, all 6'9" of him, was crossing a street in May 2019 when officers approached him from multiple sides and within seconds repeatedly used their tasers on him. As one officer kicked Kelly, another continued to electrocute him before all 3 finally realized they had taken down a person who could not hear them. Through an American Sign Language interpreter, Kelly told us he'd walked away from his family's car after having a disagreement with his wife, and to this day has no idea why officers resorted to violence. Kelly was never charged or even handcuffed. Still, officers tried their best to paint Kelly as not compliant.
Every time we were trying to cuff him, he was tucking his hands up underneath his chest.
The false assertion was made at the scene and then repeated in each of the officers' accounts of what happened, even as their own body cameras showed Kelly with his hands up by his forehead.
My hands were not on my chest. I wanted to gesture to the police and show them with my hands that I wanted to write, to communicate. That's where my hands were, in front of me, clearly.
Kelly confirmed he's never been contacted by San Marcos Police Internal Affairs to give a statement about what happened to him. All 3 officers shown using force against Kelly are still employed by SMPD. Police Chief Stan Standridge and the city's mayor, Jane Hewson, declined interview requests, citing the pending litigation of both cases. In November, during a taped deposition for Kelly's suit, Officer John DeCourty answered that if the circumstances dictated, it's okay to use the stun gun on someone who is elderly, very frail, or even...
What about a pregnant woman? Is it okay to tase a pregnant woman?
Again, if the circumstances dictated, then yes.
What?
Hayes County prosecutors dismissed a misdemeanor interference charge against Leyva last summer. His attorney is now asking the court to add a wrongful arrest claim to his suit, as well as a claim that his First Amendment rights were violated. Kelly's civil rights case is scheduled to go to trial in September.
You know, when you talk about Kelly, Big John, as you called him, his hands are up as he's walking across.
And as soon as he sees the officers, he begins to try and sign that he's deaf. That is what his normal protocol is. He's used to trying to communicate with people that way. As soon as he sees them, he wants them to know right away that he is deaf and he cannot hear what they're saying.
Right, there we saw right there. How strong are each of these federal cases?
Kelly's case is very strong. It's scheduled for trial in September. His attorneys have already gotten over a lot of those hurdles that you see lead to dismissals kind of early on when lawsuits are filed against police departments. Leyva's case was filed much more recently, so he has to get over some of those same hurdles, the attempts at dismissal, before this gets to trial or a possible settlement.
And in that Kelly incident, we said at the top of the story the video was hard to watch.
Yes.
It certainly is hard to watch. Any idea whether these officers had some sort of training on how to interact with someone who's deaf?
All three of those officers, according to the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, had taken a 4-hour course on how to interact with drivers who are deaf or cannot hear. That case is specific to interacting with drivers and not to just people in the community that you may interact with in the course of your employment. John DeCourty's course took place 2 months after this tasering incident, but currently all have that 4-hour course as part of their TCOL official records.
Now, you said that Internal Affairs from San Marcos never contacted Mr. Kelly. I'm assuming they also never apologized for how he was treated.
And we asked him that, and he's had no contact with them since this incident took place, whether to give his version of what happened, to get a formal apology from them. We could find no suspensions of any of these officers in the Kelly case. As we mentioned, Hartman was suspended for the Leyva tasering, 40 hours that he was able to use vacation time to cover. But in terms of the Kelly case, the older case, nothing from SMPD. It's the type of situation where it looks like they wanted it just to go away.
And he wasn't arrested, was never charged.
Never handcuffed. There was no assault that took place. Someone called 911 because they saw him using sign language with his wife, who is also deaf, and this was the result.
Not going away because there's video of what happened. So what comes next in these cases?
So Kelly's case is just a few months from trial. This might be a situation where the city of San Marcos settles that case because there really aren't many obstacles left to try and get this tossed out. Leyva, we're probably a couple years, maybe several years away from getting a trial date set.
Sure would have been nice if the mayor and the police chief would have weighed in on all
Of
this.
course.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be right back. Look outside with live cam, another warm one, a little muggy out there this evening as well. And now we wait on these changes that are coming tomorrow.
Yes, and I want to really stress that you're not going to wake up to the changes. It's going to be by this time tomorrow, you'll notice some changes taking place. This evening, really quiet, just humid out there. Temperatures warm, 85 now, 77 at 9 o'clock. Midnight, we're at 70. And tomorrow morning around sunrise, mid-60s, and you see that 20% chance. You know, we could have a few brief storms, especially north and west of San Antonio overnight, but I do think with the cold front, we have another opportunity as we get into tomorrow around this time. Morning fog and warm again tomorrow, then a narrow window for storms. We'll get into the details in a moment, and becoming very gusty with that cold front. We'll see in just a little bit.
All right, what are we, just about 24 hours away from these changes we've been talking about all week?
Yes, they'll get here about this time tomorrow, and you'll really notice the wind more than anything. But we do have the chance for a few thunderstorms, and of course, a temperature drop is on the way with this cold front. We're not talking anything frigid, but I mean, we're going from the upper 80s back down into the mid 70s. So a noticeable change. 88 again tomorrow. Then by Friday, our high of 74. Then right near 80 for highs this weekend. But some cooler mornings as well, and you'll definitely notice those. We'll get into that in a moment. Let's talk about the weather setup. And overall, there's not much activity across Texas. Really, the zone of concern right now is up in Arkansas and even Texarkana there, northeastern corner of Texas, where we have that tornado watch in effect. You see that red polygon, that box there. This upper level swirl near Las Vegas and Phoenix, that's the main energy that's headed our way, and it's going to help sweep a cold front through our neck of the woods about this time tomorrow. We talked about this before, but I want to show you again. There still is the slight chance of a thunderstorm or a few storms developing out west around midnight. We're talking near Del Rio and then tracking into the hill country. And this model here is actually pretty aggressive with this, and in my opinion, a little too aggressive with it. So it's one of those situations I don't think it's all that likely, but it's plausible that it could happen. I'm not overly concerned with it, but we'll keep an eye on it overnight tonight. That's from about midnight to 4 a.m. There's that chance, especially in the hill country. Tomorrow, otherwise morning fog through the commute, a little bit of mist, some drizzle possible here and there, breaking out into some afternoon sunshine. And then the cold front hits around 6 o'clock with that on the tail end of some thunderstorms that could develop. And all it's going to take is one or two storms to develop where we could see some severe weather, particularly as you get up into parts of the hill country and north and east of San Antonio. And our window of opportunity is about 5 to 9 p.m. for those showers and even thunderstorms. And as I mentioned, the possibility of severe storms. We're right on the edge of that severe weather potential, which is, close enough to obviously monitor it. But you go northeastward, especially the Tyler area, they're in that 4 out of 5 zone, which basically means it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how many, how bad, and exactly when are they going to hit. And that's up in northeast Texas. But notice we're right on the edge. We're in that 1 out of 5, that isolated severe threat around San Antonio, and a 2 out of 5 as you get north and east of town as well. So about a 30% chance around here. Most of us won't see a storm, but those of us that do could very well have straight line damaging winds and even maybe some isolated large hail with it. Otherwise, the big headline with the cold front, wind. Check out our feature cast. 8 o'clock, some gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour, especially west of San Antonio. 9, 10 o'clock, we'll see some gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour all around town, even approaching 60 mile per hour gusts tomorrow behind this cold front along the Rio Grande. Keep in mind, non-thunderstorm wind gusts is what we're talking about tomorrow night. All right, let's talk temps. 85 right now with that dew point of 66. It's muggy, it's sticky. That's going to lead to more fog to start the day tomorrow. And then some sunshine up to 88 for the high temperature. We get into the evening about this time tomorrow all the way through 9 p.m. That's when we have that 30% chance and the wind starts to pick up. So if you typically put your recycling bin or trash bin out, the night before, say Friday's your pickup, I'd wait till Friday morning in this situation because the wind is going to be a whipping tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. Friday morning, we're back down into the 40s. That'll be the case again as we get into Saturday morning, down in the 40s. Overall, crisp mornings this weekend, but comfortable afternoons. Look at that, right near 80 with that sunshine. Low humidity, too, Friday through the weekend.
That'll be nice. Thanks, Adam.
We'll be right back.
Embracing technology's influence in all aspects of education, including on the ride to and from school. Cleaner and quieter electric buses could be coming to San Antonio ISD.
Tiffany Huertas gives us a look at how these buses are better for the environment and help drivers keep a closer eye on the students who will be riding on them.
Once we do that cycle, I turn it to start, and then the system will activate and we'll get a green light. And as you can hear, there's no sound.
Albert Ross, a driver trainer for San Antonio ISD, hopes to get these electric buses through a grant.
It gives you the money to purchase the electric buses, and then it gives you the money to support them.
The district applied for a grant through the U.S. Department of Energy Renew America's School Grant Program. The grant will cover about 9 electric buses and charging stations. The district says an electric bus is about $450,000. A propane bus, about $140,000.
Currently we have diesel, we have clean diesel, and we have propane, and we're hoping for electric. And so as we phase in electric and more propane, then we're going to start phasing out the diesel.
The electric bus also has safety features. There are cameras surrounding the bus, giving drivers a look at what's around.
We've really been putting a big push behind going clean, and so we hope that the government sees that.
Tiffany Huertas, KSAT12 News.
I want to rock and roll all night and party every day.
We know you do.
Just the kind of guy I am, Myra. No, those are the lyrics from the legendary rock band Kiss, announcing today that the End of the Road tour will kick off this October in Austin. Kiss will make stops in 18 cities, including Los Angeles, Seattle, Knoxville, and Montreal. Apparently not, though, in San Antonio.
Womp womp. The band will finish their career near where they started 50 years ago, New York City's Madison Square Garden. Tickets for the show being sold by Live Nation, and they'll be available beginning on Monday. Cue Steve's air guitar.
Yeah, I think they've had farewell tours before, but they said this is the final.
One of those groups.
Yeah. All right, 82 degrees out there, I-10 at Proban, and you see the lanes that are coming towards us. Very slow going. We don't know of any major accidents to tell you about, but traffic is very heavy in this particular section of town.
One more view here, I-37 at Jones, and things are moving smoothly, so let's just get to the forecast.
Tomorrow, another warm day. Tomorrow, you're going to notice that warmth again in the afternoon. 88 on the north side of town. 91 on the west side. How about that, right? Divine, Poteet even getting to 92. Uvalde, a high temperature of 95. And then that window of opportunity tomorrow evening, right around this time, when we could have a few thunderstorms, even strong storms. Also watching for the potential of some storms late tonight, very early tomorrow morning.
Thanks for watching.
Producer Marty loves it when I quote